Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's May 14th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And real quickly before I forget, I told you I was going to take off tomorrow and play in a golf tournament, and there wouldn't be any midday chart or anything. Generally, I haven't been doing the uh, the daily chart lesson regardless on Fridays. I probably won't during the summer, but it turns out they've changed our golf tournament to Monday due to some expected bad weather here, so they're going to push it off till Monday. So I will be trading tomorrow after all, and I will do the midday chart. Again, no chart lesson, but there will be a midday chart tomorrow for those that follow that on our website. So, but just a little change of plans there. So I'll be trading tomorrow, and kind of be a normal Friday for me after all. So, but no midday chart Monday, and no chart lesson Monday since I will be gone. So just be aware of that. So there won't be a chart lesson Monday on YouTube as well. So but let's get to the chart lesson. What we have here is a spike in a channel. Early on, I was looking at a possible steeper channel working up, but turns out this is just a spike in a channel. And we really got it confirmed right here on this third touch. You couldn't really draw this line until you got the first two swings. You could have drawn this and tried it out, but it was really looking like we were going to have um, a two-tiered channel that was much steeper. And it might be there, but you would have got a break here, and it continued to go higher. So in the end, I believe that we had um, the spiking channel going here, and it really confirmed it on this touch right here. Um, Although it still was a little bit hard to see because you didn't, when it went right on past the midline here, it didn't even hesitate, but you could tell the midline was in play when it came back right in here. And that's when you really knew that it was probably um, correct. So, but I like this. You don't really get a whole lot of touches of the line. There's some shorter term trend lines and trend channels, and as long as you were using those, understanding that this is definitely an uptrend, then you should have been in pretty good shape. So, but let's talk about the trades. Again, it is a spiking channel, and it looked a little rangy maybe too at first. I wasn't sure that we may not have a range early on. We did have one right here, but the first trade I saw, we kind of made this double top and then made a triple top, and when it broke higher here, that far away from the EMA, it went out the top and then came down and went out the bottom. I like that just for a quick trap. You don't know if you're going to get anything more out of it, but you should get an easy scalp out of that, which you did. But you probably would have, any runners would have been stopped out, and then it just continued to hang up. I drew this next one. I did make this one um, green simply because this is a pretty strong trend, and there really is a shorter term trend line here that I don't have on there. But there's your break and your new high. You can see that trend line working up through there. Um, and then you get your break and two legs up to a new high. So that's another reason to like that. I treated this. This is very similar to a breakout pullback short. Prices broke down, tried to go up again, and then went lower again. So when they broke lower right here, you could go short on that and treat that like a breakout pullback short if you wanted. It's not a great setup. I would have definitely used a limit order, waited on it to break lower, and then drop my limit order in there and let it come back a little bit. Because you do have this support down here, and you want to make sure you get out before you get to that, because you can see we bounced right there at that support. So again, I drew this one green. It's a little bit aggressive. It's not a great setup, but it does fit the rules. So if you wanted to trade that one, you could. There was actually a second entry long right here that was very tempting to take, um, but you didn't really know that this was a trend line for sure yet because that just sets it up. And then, but when it touched it the second time there and turned straight up, that kind of confirms the trend line. I like that one. This is another one of those where you pull back again, and if you're still in this trade, I like adding on. And if you were able to get in this with a limit order or you got out of the trade, then you can jump back in here. But I like adding on here after entering right there. Uh, when it turns higher, because now you got a failed second entry short, and that turned out to be a great trade. So if you double up there, you get a double trade out of one. And notice your close outside and move to a new high. And I don't have it on here, but there's a little trend line working down right through here. And you can see the break moved to a new low, and then it reversed again. So the shorter term trend lines and really kept you on track here today, because you would expect prices to bounce off this trend line, but they couldn't get down there. But that's a sign that things are strong. So if you get a good setup, you probably want to go long. Um, but notice the break, the new low. I don't like the going long right there. You need to, because I really thought it was going to come back to the trend line. So it tries to come down again, fails and goes higher. You think you probably got everybody trapped to the upside, but don't be going short there. But don't go long either. But when it tries and fails the second time, now you got a failed second entry short. It turns and goes up. I like getting long there. And once again, you get a little two-legged pullback, and that's a double bottom right there. So that's a failed second entry short add-on right there. You're probably out of that trade, but you can jump right back in right there. And another good move up. Not as many entries today, but there were some pretty good ones. It's tempting to enter right here. And if you had a really good signal bar, you might consider entering there, because it is that does confirm your trend line. I didn't mark it. It's a first entry. It's a horrible signal bar. Even the next bar is not very nice. Look how it closes below the midline, but it's bouncing off that trend line right there, and it does confirm it. So it's real tempting, but I think you got to skip that one. But then it pulls back again and gives you, and it breaks lower and turns and goes out the upper side. You're going long at the very high of the day, but the fact that it's coming off the midline and this trend line, and the fact that we hadn't got to the upper side of this is probably where we're headed. I like that trade, and it's borderline being almost aggressive and being green, because you're going long at the high of the day. But for the reasons I just talked about, I kind of like that trade. And, where does it go? It goes exactly where you think it does, the upper trend channel line, and it reverses. And really after that, we just kind of went in a range. But notice this, you're pulling back first entry, you pull back, and there's a second entry long right there. It's not a very good signal bar. It is off the EMA in the midline. It's second entry, so it's a double bottom, and it actually goes, I think it goes one tick below as well. No, it's just a perfect double bottom. I was thinking that went one tick. It looks like it's one tick below there, but when you put a line on it, it's not. And anyway, that's a second entry long. It was tempting to enter here as well, I'm going to tell you. Notice how it ticked back and then went high, but that's a triple top right there. And if this would have went out with the same bar, maybe, but when it didn't, and you really had to be quick, because it just gapped and kept going. You probably wouldn't have got filled on a limit order till it pulled back, and then it's really kind of late then, because this is just kind of a repeat pattern of this, your little trading range and the failed break, and it pulls back. But this is after 2 o'clock, so I didn't mark anything else, and I don't think you want to be going short by this time, because this is obviously a pretty strong trend. And we really almost closed on the high of the day. We traded up to 218 and a quarter, and we closed at 217.75, so we almost closed on the high of the day. That's a nice trend, and it's a nice continuous upward trend all day. So good trading day. Not as many entries today. This is a 6,500 chart. I've looked at both of them. There's not much difference between the 6,000, but I opened the 6,500 and was kind of looking at it. And the reason I tend to like it is I like some of the signal bars on it better than I do this one. Although on some of these trades, the signal bars on them look a little better. So it probably washes out in the wash. So just not really much difference. You can see there's just not much difference in those two. Well, let me do this so you can kind of let me make this one a little smaller. And You can see there's not much difference there. If I was to change, this was what I was talking about earlier, the possible two-tier, but notice how it never confirmed and we broke through it. So it did fit pretty well off the top, and the midline looked pretty good, but it just didn't. I couldn't get it to cooperate. So I started looking for something else, and of course you see this. And I'm just going to put it on there just so they look a little more similar. And I'm going to go back and forth and kind of show you the two charts, how you can see that there's not much difference between them. So there, now you've got this chart, and you can see they look very, very similar. There's just a few less bars here, but there's not any, the setups are no different. Um, so I think they're real close. I just like the 6500 because um, it just tweaks it just a little bit. It just creates a few less bars, but so either one of them are fine. Um, Early on, I liked the signal bars on this one, but in the afternoon, the signal bars looked much better on the 6000. Look at that signal bar there. That would have been much more tempting looking at that signal bar. Um, Even this one, look at that signal bar. So that one right there, it's after 2 o'clock, of course. So both of them have their pluses and minuses, but I do believe that the 6500 is, for whatever reason, I'm going to watch it a little closer. And this is what I traded later in the day after about 9 o'clock. Um, so watch them both. See which one you like the best. I can't tell much difference. Let's just look at the 750 tick chart. Just for giggles and grins, we will look at the 750. But there's just, again, a few too many bars. Let's just see if the same setup, it basically looks the same. So you could trade any of these and get the same thing. You get that same setup here. You get the setup here and here and here. You get that setup here. So it's pretty much the same thing. There's just not much difference between the two charts. 750, 6,000 volume, 750 tick, that is, 6,000 volume, and 6,500 volume. There's just not much difference between any of them. They all have the same setups on them, and you can find the same stuff. So um, I think you're good with any one of them. Anyway, actually I need to change my tick counter. I've still got it on here instead of my. Um, there's actually a volume counter as well for anybody that's interested. Um, so you can tell when the bar is about to end. Obviously, I need to change this one. I'll do that. But that's pretty much it for today. There were a couple of, there's some good runners here, here. Um, if you definitely would have got one here, you definitely would have got one here. And if you would have entered here, you would have gotten one here. But I just couldn't, I just think that was too risky trying to enter right there. But in the hindsight, it looks like a pretty good trade. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.